Chapter 5 of No Great Magic by Fritz Leiber. This librivox recording is in the public domain. Chapter 5. Even little things are turning out to be great things and becoming intensely interesting. Have you ever thought about the property of numbers? The Maiden. Lying on my cot, my eyes crosswise to the printing, I looked from a pink Algonquin menu to a pale green New Amsterdam program, with a tiny doll of Father Knickerbocker dangling between them on a yellow thread. Really, they weren't covering up much of anything. A ghostly hole an inch and a half across seemed to char itself in the program, as if my eyes were right up against it. I saw in vivid memory what I'd seen the 2 times I'd dared a peek through the hole in the curtain. A bevy of ladies in masks and Nell Gwyn dresses, and men in King Charles knee breeches and long curled hair, and the second time a bunch of people and creatures just wild, all sorts and colors of clothes, humans with hooves for feet and antennae springing from their foreheads, furry and feathery things that had more arms than 2, and in one case that many heads, as if they were dressed up in our Tempest, Peer Gynt, and Insect People costumes, and some more besides. Naturally, I'd had mind-wavery fits both times. Afterwards, Sid had wagged a finger at me and explained that on those 2 nights we'd been giving performances for people who'd arranged a costume theater party, and been going to attend a masquerade ball, and zounds, when would I learn to guard my half-patched pate? I don't know. I guess never. I answered now, quick looking at a Giants pennant, a Corvette ad, a map of Central Park, my Willie Mays baseball, and a Radio City tour ticket. That was 8 items I'd looked at this trip without feeling any inward improvement. They weren't reassuring me at all. The blue fly came slowly buzzing down over my screen, and I asked it, "What are you looking for? A spider?" When what should I hear, coming back through the dressing room, straight toward my sleeping closet, but Miss Nefer's footsteps. No one else walks that way. She's going to do something to you, Greta, I thought. She's the maniac in the company. She's the one who terrorized you with the boning knife in the shrubbery, or sicked the giant tarantula on you at the dark end of the subway platform, or whatever it was, and the others are covering up for. She's going to smile the devil's smile and weave those white twig fingers at you, all 8 of them. And Birnam Wood'll come to Dunsinade, and you'll be burnt at the stake by men in armor, or drawn and quartered by 8-legged monkeys that talk, or torn apart by wild centaurs, or whirled through the roof to the moon without being dressed for it, or sent burrowing into the past to stifle in Iowa 1948, or Egypt 4008 BC. The screen won't keep her out. Then a head of hair pushed over the screen, but it was black bound with silver. Brahma bless us, and a moment later Martin was giving me one of his rare smiles. I said, "Marty, do something for me. Don't ever use Miss Nefer's footsteps again. Her voice, okay, if you have to, but not the footsteps. Don't ask me why. Just don't." Martin came around and sat on the foot of my cot. My legs were already doubled up. He straightened out his blue and gold skirt and rested a hand on my black sneakers. "Feeling a little wonky, Greta?" he asked. "Don't worry about me. Banco's dead and so's his ghost. We finished a banquet scene. I've got lots of time." I just looked at him queerly, I guess. Then, without lifting my head, I asked him, "Martin, tell me the truth. Does the dressing room move around?" I was talking so low that he hitched a little closer, not touching me anywhere else, though. "The Earth's whipping around the sun at 20 miles a second," he replied, "and the dressing room goes with it." I shook my head, my cheek scrubbing the pillow. "I mean, shifting," I said, "by itself." "How?" he asked. "Well," I told him, "I've had this idea, it's just a sort of fancy, remember, that if you wanted to time travel and, well, do things, you could hardly pick a more practical machine than a dressing room, and sort of stage and half theater attached, with actors to man it. Actors can fit in anywhere. They're used to learning new parts and wearing strange costumes. Heck, they're even used to traveling a lot. And if an actor's a bit strange, nobody thinks anything of it. He's almost expected to be foreign. It's an asset to him. And a theater, well, a theater can spring up almost anywhere and nobody asks questions, except the zoning authorities and such, and they can always be squared. Theaters come and go. It happens all the time. They're transitory. Yet theaters are crossroads, anonymous meeting places. Anybody with a few bucks or sometimes nothing at all can go. And theaters attract important people, the sort of people you might want to do something to. Caesar was stabbed in a theater, Lincoln was shot in one, and... My voice trailed off. "A cute idea," he commented. I reached down to his hand on my shoe and took hold of his middle finger as a baby might. "Yeah," I said, "but Martin, is it true?" He asked me gravely, "What do you think?" I didn't say anything. "How would you like to work in a company like that?" he asked speculatively. "I really don't know," I said. He sat up straighter and his voice got brisk. "Well, all fantasy aside, how'd you like to work in this company?" he asked, lightly slapping my ankle. "On stage, I mean. Sid thinks you're ready for some of these smaller parts. In fact, he asked me to put it to you, he thinks you never take him seriously." "Pardon me while I gasp and glow," I said. Then, "Oh, Marty, I can't really imagine myself doing the tiniest part." "Me neither 8 months ago," he said. "Now look, Lady Macbeth." "But, Marty," I said, reaching for his finger again, "you haven't answered my question about whether it's true." "Oh, that," he said with a laugh, switching his hand to the other side. "Ask me something else." "Okay," I said. "Why am I bugged by the number 8? Because I'm permanently behind a private 8-ball? Eight's a number with many properties," he said, suddenly as intensely serious as he usually is. "The corners of a cube." "You mean I'm a square?" I said. "Or just a brick? You know, she's a brick." "But eight's most curious property," he continued with a frown, "is that lying on its side, it signifies infinity. So 8 erect is really..." And suddenly his made-up, naturally solemn face got a great glow of inspiration and devotion. "Infinity arisen." Well, I don't know. You meet quite a few people in the theater who are bats on numerology. They use it to pick stage names. But I'd never even guessed it of Martin. He always struck me as the skeptical, cynical type. "I had another idea about 8, I said hesitatingly. "Spiders. That 8-legged asterisk on Miss Nefer's forehead." I suppressed a shudder. "You don't like her, do you?" he stated. "I'm afraid of her," I said. "You shouldn't be. She's a very great woman, and tonight she's playing an infinitely more difficult part than I am. No, Greta," he went on as I started to protest, "believe me, you don't understand anything about it at this moment, just as you don't understand about spiders fearing them. They're the first to climb the rigging and to climb ashore, too. They're the web weavers, the line throwers, the connectors. Siva and Kali united in love. They're the double mandala, the beginning and the end. Infinity mustered and on the march." "They're on my New York screen," I squeaked, shrinking back across the cot a little and pointing at a tiny glinting silver and black thing mounting below my willy ball. Martin gently caught its line on his finger and lifted it very close to his face. 8 eyes, too, he told me. Then, "Poor little god," he said and put it back. "Marty! Marty!" Sid's desperate stage whisper rasped the length of the dressing room. Marty stood up. "Yes, Sid?" Sid's voice stayed a whisper, but went from desperate to ferocious. "You villainous elfskin! Know you not the cauldron scene's been playing 100 heartbeats? 'Tis most my entrance, and we still mustering only 2 witches out of 3. Oh, you not-pated starveling!" Before Sid had got much more than half that out, Martin had slipped around the screen, raced the length of the dressing room, and I heard a lusty thwack as he went out the door. I couldn't help grinning, though. With Martin racked by anxieties and reliefs over his first time as Lady Mack, it was easy to understand it slipping his mind that he was still doubling second witch. End of chapter 5.